I want to welcome you to State of the Schools. We have presentations today by Auburn Superintendent Jeff Pirozzolo, and then Cayuga Community College, Dr. Brian Durant, and then later will be Wells College, Dr. Jonathan Gibralter. He can't come on until about 10:30. So if you have questions as the presentations are going, please put them in the chat, and I'll have Jessica address those with whoever the questions are for at the end of the presentations. And also, please, it looks like most of you are, but please mute if you haven't already, just out of respect for the presentations. I want to thank 2+4 management for sponsoring the State of the Schools, the State of the City, and the State of the County. I also want to thank our friends at Lions National Bank and Tompkins Trust Company. They are our Diamond members, and Diamond Media sponsor The Citizen. So I'm going to, at this point, turn it over to Jeff Pirozzolo to let us know what's going on with the Auburn Enlarged City School District. Take it away, Jeff.
Thank you, Amy. And apparently I had about 10 minutes to speak. We're 7 minutes over, so that leaves me 3 minutes. So I got to get moving. So again, thank you for having me, Amy. And thank you to Guy Cosentino, because I got to do a practice run on this conversation with him in Inside Government this week. So, I'm going to recap a little bit of what we spoke about. And yes, we're in year 2 of COVID. The great thing that I can tell everyone is our children are all back in school. Our staff, our students, we are mask optional. It's wonderful going into our buildings and being able to see our children, see their faces. It makes teaching and learning completely different for us. Being able to see everybody's facial expressions and really looking to see if kids have that understanding. So it's a piece that we've missed for the last 2 years. So we're very excited. The first Wednesday that we had optional mask wearing, it was truly the first day of school. It was just like the first day of school. The excitement, the smiles, the laughter. It was just great walking through buildings and seeing that, because we've missed that the last couple of years. But yes, COVID has not gone away in our school buildings. We still deal with positive cases. In the last 2 weeks, we've had a fair amount of positive cases, not even the highest in our county, but we've had positive cases. Again, when you're not wearing masks and you're in schools, we know that COVID's going to spread. So we just have to take other precautions in place, really work on the social distancing and the disinfecting, making sure that we're keeping everything clean and keeping our kids as separated as we possibly can. Great thing with good weather is we can go outside soon. We can read books, we can do instruction outside. But just really excited to get towards that normalcy that we've been waiting for a long time. So, we still are dealing with hurdles that we need to deal with. Even as we return to normalcy, COVID is devastated a lot of school districts in multiple ways. We look at the learning gaps that our children have. Fortunately, last year, with some federal monies in our budget, we hired a lot of extra staff members, teaching assistants, school counselors. We really focused on the learning gaps that were created and the social emotional issues that our children are dealing with. So we did hire a lot of teaching assistants, a lot of counselors to help us and to help our children get back to that normalcy as well. And that has worked well. We still have a long ways to go, but we still see shortages in staff members. We have difficulty still finding special ed teachers at the secondary level. We still have a math position that's been open in our district for a while. So, that's more of a statewide issue that school districts, public schools face is finding certified qualified candidates. But our biggest issue of shortages this year has been bus drivers. So, we've had a lot of issues transporting our children. Even 1 week, we had to go remote at our junior high school because of the lack of bus drivers. So we have been doing job fairs. We've been trying to help First Student with recruitment. But we are still 14 bus drivers down in our school district as of today. So, we still do have hurdles that we're facing, but we continue to move forward, and we do everything we possibly can to make sure we can get our kids in school, because we do not want them out of school ever again. Some of the other pieces that we're sort of waiting for the state to give us some information on is, we do know that this year there will be assessments, 3 through 8 assessments. We know that there's going to be Regents exams. What we don't know is how they're going to assess those. We don't know if the Regents exams are going to be assessed for credit, or if it's going to be used more as a local measure for school districts to use. But we do know that our students will be taking Regents exams. I actually had a conversation with the Commissioner of Education 2 weeks ago, just to talk about some of my concerns with these assessments and with the Regents exams. As we look through the years, we have a goal that we want 95% attendance rate in our schools. This year, we have seen that we've never seen a chronic absenteeism number as we're seeing this year. And I think that's because of multiple reasons. When we talk about chronic absenteeism, the definition for chronic absenteeism is missing 18 days or more during a school year. Well, if you've been quarantined, quarantining was 10 days. Now it's 5 days, but it was 10 days. If you had COVID, if you've been quarantined just twice, that's going to put you over the chronic absenteeism number. So 60% of our students are facing chronic absenteeism this year. And that's a huge number. And the conversation that I had with the commissioner is, again, when we are giving Regents exams out, what are we assessing? Kids have been out for 2 years. We have the highest chronic absenteeism rate we've seen in the last 20 years. So what is it that we're really assessing with those? So again, we're waiting to hear a little bit more about where we're going to be when the Regents exams and the assessments come out. As far as our own infection rate here in Auburn, like I said, our school district's doing pretty well. I think we had 20 positive cases last week. We might have 25 this week. Neighboring districts have had 60 over the last couple of weeks. So, I think we're really doing well, and I think there's many reasons. I don't think everything is being reported. Not every parent is reporting a positive case. But, like I said, our biggest thing is getting our kids in the building and educating them and being in person. So, we're going to continue to work on making sure that we can make that happen. Another big thing that's happening here in Auburn is, of course, we have a capital project going on. Glad to say that we're actually at the punch list of this phase of our capital project. We're hoping within the next 3 weeks, we'll be able to do some grand openings at Genesee, Casey Park, Herman Ave, and Owasco, so that we can invite the community to come in to see the upgrades that we've done at our buildings. And really the main focus point of our buildings were secured vestibules for our children, so that when community members come in, they actually walk into a secured vestibule and can only go into the main office. They can't go right into the school buildings. And that's all based on safety. Plus, we've done a lot of updating of our HVAC systems. We're still having some issues with those that we're working through, but hopefully within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will have a grand opening so we can invite the community to come in to see some of the work we've done. This summer, our focus is on the HVAC system at the high school and at Seward Elementary School. And then the following summer, our focus will be at Auburn Junior High School, and some site work at all of our schools. So we still have a lot more capital project work to do, but we are moving forward with that, and we're excited to have the community being able to come in and see what we're doing. The last thing I want to speak about before I turn it over to Dr. Durant is a little bit about our budget. Our Board of Education and our cabinet have been meeting regularly since February, early February, to put our budget together. And our budget, we could go out for over a 3% tax levy. I believe it was 3.18. But working with our Board of Education, working with our administrators, our teachers on what our needs are. Right now, we're looking at going out for a tax levy of 2.5%. As you all know, and you probably read in the newspaper, Auburn was fortunate because the state has finally said that we are going to fully fund everyone's foundation aid. For Auburn, as you know, for the last 12 years, we have been really underfunded. We've had to cut more programs, more teachers than probably any school district in central New York. So we were very excited this year because we were going to receive almost $4 million in foundation aid this year. Again, the numbers got reworked out. We lost 500,000 more. So we're going to be receiving about $3.5 million in foundation aid for next school year. But when you've had a deficit for 12 years, 1 year of getting more money is not going to fix all the issues that we've had that have surrounded us for the last 12 years. Even with the $3.5 million that we're going to be receiving, we still have a $2.5 million deficit going into next year. We're looking at using $2.5 million out of our fund balance to offset that cost. We've been fortunate enough to been able to save up some money in our fund balance so that we could use that money. But I will tell you, our advocacy committee, which is led by Ian Phillips and Danielle Wood, and of course Lisa Green, our executive business manager, they've really been working hard with our legislators in the state to try to get us fully funded and quicker, getting it done quicker. So, you know, we're continuing to advocate to get more money from the state to fully fund us. And one thing our Board of Education and Lisa actually presented at the last board meeting is that if we do receive more money from the state, we will lower that tax levy to hopefully get under 2%. So, you know, we're really putting the pressure on our legislators and our governor to really get us so that we are fully funded. So, you know, we're very happy with the progress we've made, but there's still a lot more that we need to do to get fully funded. So, you know, thank you. We're fortunate enough to have a very dedicated board and community that helps us with these advocacy pieces. So again, thank you to all of them. So, you know, again, with all things being said, looking back 2 years ago where we are now, it's been a huge jump and a huge leap. And we still got some more races that we've got to finish here, but we're very happy at where we are right now. And again, and that's you know, going out and being thankful to the community that we live in and all the support that we receive. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Jeff. At this point, we'll wait and do the questions at the end, if that's okay with everybody. We'll turn it over to Dr. Brian Durant from Cayuga Community College.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. It's been a long time since I've seen some of you in person. It's certainly my pleasure to be here today with my colleagues from, you know, Auburn Large City School District and Jeff, and you know, Dr. Jonathan Gibralter from Wells College, two important partners of Cayuga Community College and tremendous leaders that I have the fortune to work with on a regular basis. So it's always nice to be able to see them and to celebrate Cayuga Community College alongside of them. I'll just take a quick moment. We're joined today, I believe, by the chair of the Cayuga Community College Board of Trustees, Marion Brown. And one of the other guests with us is Tricia Kerr, who also serves the college trustee. And I'm hopeful that I'm not missing anyone else in my gallery of screen here. You know, similar to my colleagues, you know, a great deal of our focus and responsibility has had to have been on, you know, COVID-19 and specifics related to, you know, for us, institutional compliance with SUNY in the state of New York, as well as doing just the right things the right way. I want to just take a brief moment and thank the leadership, the health department, the county, other health officials that advise us educators on the best way to go about doing, you know, the work that's needed during this time. But I'm going to focus much of my conversation today on non-pandemic related items because I think Jeff covered it well. You know, the only difference for the college that's still in place, and I know has been well documented, is that we are still required by the State University of New York that all students who have an on-campus obligation or course who are enrolled, that they must be vaccinated and boosted. That continues to be in place now. We anticipate it will continue to be in place for the foreseeable future. And so that is something that is different, right, than what other entities, other businesses are experiencing, is that if you want to enroll with Cayuga Community College, you're more than, you know, and get accepted, you're welcome. But if you want to be on campus, you'll have to make sure that you meet the vaccination requirements of the state related to all the SUNY campuses. This is not a unique decision of Cayuga or trustees. It's our responsibility to be compliant with that particular policy. That being said, we've concentrated a great deal over the last 2 years, some of it forced, obviously, and some of it our own faculty and talent and innovation, to try to develop more courses online, programs online, and our services online to support those students from a distance, even if they may be just down the road, just like this, through technology, to be able to provide them the same supports and opportunities to learn and engage in a synchronous and asynchronous way to be able to provide those opportunities. And if we find one positive about that, you know, that's something that we don't believe is going to really change as we look ahead. Leveraging technology to support learners is a major piece of where priorities lie today within education, higher education, particularly as we look ahead in our future. You know, we've always been a college, community college, that prides ourselves on our mission to be an open access institution that's available for regional citizenry to prepare for transfer and for work. What that means now for people with the flexibilities of online education to help address barriers and other concerns is a big piece of achieving that particular mission and certainly our vision. So the technology is here to stay. Our open doors are here to stay, but we'll continue to move forward in whatever we're required to do in the safest way to ensure that our students are safe and that the institution is compliant. But moving ahead beside COVID, over the last year, since we had the fortune to address you in the sort of state of the schools address, you know, I know last year we did talk a lot about the pandemic, but we also talked about the importance as leaders to be looking ahead and trying to find the moments where the institutions can be moving forward. In a post-pandemic world and a competitive landscape of higher education in particular, we cannot just sit idle and expect that everything will be okay. So over the last year, we've been able to do things publicly to celebrate with you that have been important to us as an organization. We opened our Culinary Arts Center last summer, welcoming new students into a facility that we are very proud of. Would not be possible without the leadership and the opportunity from the City of Auburn, the DRI, and certainly our private partners at the Plaza for the Arts. We also have been able to secure funding and begin construction through the generosity of our college foundation, private business, and others to be able to break ground on our Advanced Manufacturing Institute on our Fulton campus. Some supply chain issues. We hope for a grand opening back in December or January, candidly, but we're looking to open it in May. Being able to roll out more programs in electrical technology and to support manufacturing and credit and micro-credentials and non-credit pathways to be able to support regional citizens in Oswego County and align those credentials and those learning opportunities with local workforce needs that was designed and built in partnership with local employers. We're very proud to see that be able to move forward and hopeful that it'll open on time and that we'll soon be talking about the programming and the success stories of the facility, not just the physical plan. We also, as an institution, have been able to roll out and get final approval, and we'll be rolling out new programs. We've talked about culinary arts. We also opened a new program this past fall in human services. We also have received approval for a program in the area of music, transfer program. When you talk about the themes of what we've been working on as an institution in the last 5 or 7 years, we align it with partnership, we align it with our community, and we focus on how we can maximize local resources, address local community need, and then do things in the most efficient way possible to deliver programs and services or physical spaces. Falcon Park is a success story. Culinary Arts Center is a success story. Our Child Care Center is a success story in the city of Auburn. The AMI opportunities, I think, will be a success story. And our continued efforts to partner with K-12 in a number of robust ways of offering pathways and clarifying what choices students may make as youth in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, how they may be impactful or contribute to the college process. We even worked with Wells College on a pathway for those students who've taken advantage of Cayuga Advantage, not to be redundant, and enrolled in dual credit classes while they're in high school, that if they then choose us at Cayuga, that being a part of that program will also give them an opportunity for scholarship at Wells College and being able to maximize those credits, even going back to while they're in high school. And I'll let Jonathan talk a little bit more about that when he goes. My point is, over the last year and into our future, we've continued to try to connect the dots related to institutional priorities, institutional needs and opportunities, community need, and while trying to also be creative to have these things come to fruition. And we're very proud with the leadership of our trustees, the talent of our faculty and staff to be able to have those types of successes. Over the last year or two, we've been able to secure funding from the generosity of our college foundation and recognizing the many facility needs on the Auburn campus to upgrade the HVAC of Spartan Hall, add air conditioning, and to upgrade HVAC over our library and other main buildings. Air quality improvement, that would not be possible without the work of our college foundation. Their leadership with John Lantnishan, Guy Cosentino, and I think Kelly Gridley is also here, has been a tremendous leader on our foundation board. Their commitment to the college foundation, their commitment to our students, to our institution, it's their forethought to say, how can we contribute to continue to improve the physical plants of the institution? That's one way they've done it. They also have embarked on a successful campaign of securing funds, prioritizing on student emergencies. The theme to be able to support students in crisis and that may be experiencing difficulties while enrolled or having a barrier, may be at the brink of choosing that they cannot continue to stay enrolled. And how can we help support them, perhaps in a financial way? It's the foundation leadership that's helped match the college energy to try to address those things, and we appreciate it. But as we look ahead, we know there's plenty of work to do, just like Jeff mentioned. And in the next coming months, hopefully you'll be announcing, hopefully many of you will be able to be there. We'll be looking to move forward in the construction project for the County Workforce Development Center at Cornell Cooperative Extension on Grand Avenue, the former building, that will be a community asset that isn't just about the college having a new facility that's going to be an extension of our campus. It's about the opportunity to connect multiple agencies, Cayuga Works, our institution's workforce development staff. We have grants in the areas of literacy, Cornell Cooperative Extension leadership, important agencies that offer tremendous programming in a number of sectors, to a number of individuals, and to a number of employers. In one central place in a highly visible area, we're going to be able to lift up what we do. It's not about, and beyond co-location, we're going to be able to find the synergies that can exist for new program development. Working together, we're going to be able to secure funding, we hope, to be able to bring in grants and other resources, because we know multiple agency partnerships strengthens applications and share services. And so that facility, we believe, we've secured the funding through, again, our county, through private donors, through grants, through the donation of the building itself that we've been able to leverage for capital funding. That project will be a $3.2 million project that will be beginning this summer, and we hope will be open at some point in 23. We also acquired an adjacent property to our childcare center on Wall Street in Auburn that will give us flexibilities for possible expansion or improved safety measures, or whatever the need continues to be that we can fulfill in our small part to address a local community issue. Really, it's national, and the difficulties of childcare. The other major initiative that our trustees are leading with college leadership is we are, and this is something we'll be talking about hopefully next year as we can unveil it. We are developing right now and spending lots of energy on the college's next strategic plan. Embarking upon a process where we've been focused on building internal constituency, collaborative efforts, communication, dialogue, to be able to capture where we are as an institution, where our talent sees we need to go, where the emergent opportunities may be, and where we must give attention for when it comes to some of the areas of concern. We're using it as a tool, not just to build our strategic plan, but we're using it as a tool to help galvanize our college community while we've been working remote, while we've been behind screens, and trying to use it as a chance to culturally connect, to then be able to chart our path moving forward. I say it all the time, I'm very fortunate to have a group of talented individuals to be able to work with daily. We're all better for it. The commitment to our students is really inspiring. And I believe that our next strategic plan will be a great, clear vision of where we need to focus for the next 2 to 5 years, and the work that we'll be doing that's just still focused on the same things: our students, our community, leveraging resources, and strengthening our position for today and beyond. And it'll be grounded in data, it'll be grounded in partnerships, and we know we can't do it together. And honestly, as a community, the more we work together, I think as aspirational as we may all be individually, the better results we're going to have. So I appreciate the time and the chance to talk with you this morning.
Thank you, Brian. We'll turn it over at this point to Dr. Jonathan Gibralter from Wells College. So welcome.
Thank you, Amy. And I apologize for logging on late, but I was actually doing a leadership training session this morning for the Center State CEOs organization, where I sit on the board, and acknowledge also that while Marion Brown is chair of the board at Cayuga Community College, she's also a faculty member and runs the Center for Sustainability and the Environment at Wells College. So I am really privileged to be able to share this gallery with my two colleagues, Jeff and Brian. You're very fortunate to have a community where your education leaders work so well together. I've been in other environments where the level of competition between educational institutions has been so great that they work across purposes to one another in a very unproductive way. but that's not what happens here in Cayuga County. Also, I would add, and I hope you all recognize this, and I think you do, how lucky you are to have such a great K-12 and BOCES system present in our community, such a strong community college present in our community with an extension center in Fulton, and a private college located 20 miles away from Auburn on the shore of Cayuga Lake. And I think you all recognize that the pandemic was hard on all of us. And it isn't over. And I think that we're all trying to redefine what it looks like to go from what it was like before the pandemic to what happened when our institutions were forced to close and everybody was sent home, closed temporarily, and what it's like today as they reopen. The nature of education has changed. The nature of the workforce has changed. I don't know whether you recognize this, but from 2019 until the present, there's this phenomenon called the Great Resignation, where people have said, I don't want to do that anymore. And if my company forces me to come back to work, I'm going to resign. Well, in higher education writ large across the United States, in 2 years, 650,000 people were either terminated, resigned, or retired. That has created a challenge because even at Wells College, we lost several really wonderfully talented educators who even left higher education altogether. Faculty who gave up tenure to just say, I don't want to do this anymore, and have gone off to do private consulting. Similarly, though, it's created opportunity because there have been so many people who stepped away from higher ed. We've been able to do a really terrific job in hiring highly qualified, wonderful teachers and professionals to work at our campus. You all remember that it wasn't too long ago that in 2019, I strategically put out a message that was true at the time. And I said that if we couldn't bring students back that fall, it's likely that our 150-year-old college would forever close its doors. And that served to do exactly what I hoped. Many of our friends of the college, private foundations, and alumni stepped up and donated more money over a short period of time than had ever been donated to Wells before. And that allowed us to then confidently open our doors that July to a new four-year class. And we are doing really well. During that time, we created and others at Cayuga, a strategic plan that's focusing on many different pillars on how we redefine our mission without letting go the importance of our liberal arts heritage, which really matters today. We just launched a new program, and that program is now recruiting students for the fall semester. It's in partnership with the Inns of Aurora, in partnership with Del Lago Casino and Resort, and in partnership with many of the wineries, craft breweries, inns, beds and breakfasts located around all of our Finger Lakes, so that we can provide our students with internship and work opportunities. We're also in the process of crafting 5 new majors that will be sent to New York State for approval in the next 2 months, and with our hope of launching and announcing them next year. We've been very closely connected to Cayuga Community College and Brian and his team regarding partnering our hospitality management program with their culinary arts major and their new culinary center located in Auburn. We also are launching in the fall a business completion degree program on the campus of Monroe Community College in downtown Rochester. And we've already recruited a cohort of students to enroll in that program. You know, one of the challenges that I have faced as president of this college is that, and many of you probably now are aware of the fact that Wells College is also, we own and operate the water system, not just for the college, but also for the village of Aurora and all of its businesses and citizens. And so in the past few years, we've been able to secure over $2 million in funding, including $1 million grant from the Northern Border Regional Commission, and just announced 2 weeks ago, a $160,000 grant in federal earmarks to be able to continue to upgrade that water plant so that it never goes offline and has the latest and greatest technology. And those renovations are going to occur over the next couple of years. Where I feel that we continue to have work to do, if you look at the data from the National Student Clearinghouse, in the last 2 years, and I hope you're sitting down for when I say this, over 2 million young people have walked away from a college education. I'm not saying they've left their institution and transferred to another institution, because we know that, we have that information. They have completely stopped out of school. And at the same time, in the Northeastern United States, we have faced a demographic cliff, meaning that over the next couple of years, young people and their families are relocating down south and out west at a rate at which we have never seen before. So I'm in case Brian is feeling enrollment declines at the community college, and we're feeling those enrollment declines as well at the four-year private college level. We've reduced our tuition by $10,000 in 2019. 98% of our students receive federal Pell grants, and I'm very pleased that the federal government has increased the amount of those awards in this year's federal omnibus budget by $400 per student, which helps young people be able to seek out opportunities that are forever going to change their lives. The message is that, and this is a true message based upon real data, that students who complete an associate's and even a bachelor's degree increase their earning potential by over $1 million over the course of their lifetime. We need to continue to encourage young people to complete their K-12 degrees. We need to continue to encourage them to go to college and get a 2-year and 4-year degree, because while it might not seem like in the moment it matters, in the long term of the quality of their lives, it matters a lot. And so as we continue to move forward, Wells College alumni are generous to a fault. 13% of our operating budget is based upon unrestricted gifts from our alumni. We raise over $4 million a year in unrestricted gifts that we're able to put directly into our operating budget, because tuition, room, and board alone would not allow this college to survive. And our strategic plan is focused on building enrollment through partnerships, new programs, taking a Wells College education. And Brian, when you're done with that Cooperative Extension Center, you and I have talked about a 4-year degree program that we can put right there in Auburn, so that students who don't want to travel to Aurora for the experience of having an on-campus Wells College degree can be able to get that degree opportunity right in Auburn. So we are so grateful to you for the work that you're doing, because you have truly transformed Cayuga Community College through the partnerships that you have sought out and have benefited all of us in such a meaningful way. We're doing well. One of our great challenges right now, and Brian, you talked about this, and Jeff, you did as well, technology. And where's that going to lead us? And, you know, we don't have the benefit of state aid. We don't have the benefit of county and state support. All of our revenue comes through tuition, room and board, and the generosity of our alumni, foundations, and state and federal grants. And the technology network at Wells, while we're very fortunate because the Inns of Aurora have just expanded bandwidth to the Inns, and we worked with NYSERNet to be able to increase bandwidth on our campus by 200 times. That's been a great opportunity for us because for the first time ever, our faculty are able to connect to the internet too, not just, whereas before they had to go to Cornell or Syracuse to connect to that network, they can now connect to it here in Aurora on our campus and in our library. But we need to redo our entire technology server room, our network switches, our fiber optic cable, and we're going to be seeking a federal grant to do so in next year's budget. And here's one thing that I can ask for the Chamber's help with. You know, we may come to you and ask you to write a letter of support to our Senate and congressional leaders to help us to be able to secure that money in next year's federal budget. And those letters would be really meaningful and helpful. And that's where we've been so successful in Wells College receiving a 5-year C-STEP grant through the state of New York that's called Collegiate Science Technology Entry Program Grant. We also have a $2 million 5-year federal TRIO grant, which is a grant focused on offering services to students who are at risk academically, financially, maybe first-generation college students. We're able to assist them with counseling and support services that we've never been able to offer before at Wells. And as well, we'll be filing for a federal TRIO grant next year through the next grant cycle, which could be $4 million over 5 years. And so, you know, Wells is strong. We're doing well. We faced the challenges of the pandemic head on. In this entire academic year, we've only had less than 10 active cases of COVID. We continue to do routine testing. We have not required, but we've strongly recommended that students, faculty, and staff be vaccinated and boosted, and we're at about 98% compliance. So people have been really good about that. And as a result of this week's testing, based upon required testing of everybody in our community as they've returned from spring break, we're now discussing perhaps relaxing our masking protocol to be able to finish out the spring semester. We will have an in-person commencement. We will have an in-person reunion in June. We haven't had one in 2 years. And we will be opening our campus to many different opportunities over the summer to not only make this beautiful environment known to others, but also because it allows us to have an additional revenue stream for now and into the future. So thank you for this opportunity to speak and to be here and present with such a great gallery of guests in Cayuga County. Everything that you do makes a difference, and we feel blessed and fortunate to reside in this wonderful county called Cayuga. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the update on Wells. I also wanted to mention that Dr. Brian Hartwell was going to give an update for BOCES, but he could not join us today. So I think there's one question that was in the chat that I think was directed towards the Auburn School District. It was, can you touch on technology needs of the students in the district? Are they being met? Is there a need for software, equipment, training, and home access?
Yes, and thank you, Tricia, for the question. We actually this morning, we just sent out a survey to all of our staff members that have students in K through 12 to get some information on accessibility and internet connectivity in the homes. And we will be sending it out later today to the entire community. We've done many of these throughout the last 2 years, but we continue to collect data on this to make sure that we are meeting all the needs of all of our children and families in our community. We are a one-to-one initiative district, so all of our students do have access to a tablet, a Chromebook. We've handed those out throughout the school year, mostly in late September, early October. So our kids do have access to the technology. The biggest issue that we face is the connectivity at home and those families that cannot or do not have internet access. We do have hotspots for our children that we give our families so that they can use them in their homes. I believe we have around 500 of those out right now currently to our families. Again, one of the questions is when you do these surveys and you send them home electronically, if you don't have access, how do you fill out the survey, right? That's one of our concerns. And we actually just talked about this at our board meeting on Tuesday evening. So we are going to find other venues, ways to gather that information, whether it is sending home slips to all of our parents, backpacking them home through our children. But we are continuing to gather the data. But as Tricia, what I can say to you is if we know there's an issue at a home, we resolve that and we take care of them with hotspots. But all of our kids do have a one-to-one device that they can use at home in school. We try to keep them in school as much as possible. Our high school kids bring them back and forth, but at our younger levels, we try to keep them right in school, but we are ready to deploy them at home at any time we need to.
Jeff, if I can add to that, as you were speaking, it occurred to me, one of the issues that we have that our faculty wrestle with all the time is during these remote Zoom classes, right? There's a phrase called ghosting. So what happens for any number of reasons, just like I'm looking at the screen right now, right? And there are 6 people who actually have their cameras on and everybody else has their camera turned off. That's what our faculty sometimes face when they're teaching a class. They don't know whether the student's actually sitting there on the other end of the screen. And as well, because we live in a world of incredible distraction, our faculty don't know how well a student is really attending to the instruction that may be going on over the screen. When you have a student sitting in class, you're able to say, please put your phone down. And they're there and they're present. But when they're home sitting behind a screen like this, and there are many different reasons for it. Some students are anxious and don't want to be seen on screen. Some students live in home lives where they don't want their home to be seen on screen. Some students have, just one of the frequent thing they say is, well, I logged in, but my camera doesn't work. I'm trying to get it to work, but it doesn't. There's not enough bandwidth, so I have to keep the camera off so I can hear what the professor is saying. But one of the things that I worry about, and my wife will tell you I'm a big worrier, is what does this 2 years do to the intellectual and emotional development of young people, right, in this virtual world in which we live? And, it's something that we talk about all the time on campus as we try to really push engagement and ask students, please put your cell phone down. Let's sit and have a conversation. So, Jeff, I applaud you. And we did the same thing at Wells. We sent students hotspots. We shipped home laptops if we needed to. We sent a couple of hundred of these things out the door to make sure everybody could be connected. But at the end of the day, we also found that academic performance and grades declined dramatically during the pandemic.
Thank you both. Is there any other questions for any of our presenters today? Well, I want to thank everybody for coming on, and I want to also thank you for your patience with our little glitch that we had. Just a couple chamber things. Today is the deadline to put in your nomination for our 2022 Chamber Awards. We will have an in-person event, a luncheon on May 4th. So you have till 5 o'clock. It's right on our homepage. There's 3 business categories: a nonprofit, the Terry Breidenbecker Young Professional, Phyllis Goldman, and then the Community Leadership Award, which is given out for Leadership Cayuga alumni. So not too late to nominate. So go to the website and do that. Everyone, thank you again. Thank you guys for your presentations, and everybody stay safe and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.